Everyone in the 21st century craves power. You want to be a CEO. You want to be a billionaire. You look at Napoleon Bonaparte and think, now that guy is the absolute definition of success. From a provincial kid in Corsica to the Emperor of France. Pretty badass, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Being Napoleon wasn't some glittering power fantasy. It was a drawn-out death sentence fueled by maximum psychological burnout. You think you're stressed over a Monday deadline? Imagine a whole continent actively trying to end you. Waking up every day realizing your family is draining your bank account and your lover treats you like a joke. Take off that shiny crown. This isn't a story about a military genius. It's the story of a guy working 20-hour shifts only to get massively scammed by history. You want to be an emperor? Welcome to hell. First up, let's talk about his family. You build a successful startup. What do? You give shares to your family. Fatal mistake. Napoleon made his brothers kings of Spain and Holland and got a bunch of freeloaders in return. Joseph in Spain had furious mobs literally wanting his head on a pike every single day. Louis in Holland publicly rebelled against his own brother's policies. The ultimate betrayal. Napoleon was like an exhausted older brother cleaning up his family's mess on a global scale. He had no real allies. He only had gold-plated deadweights dragging him down. But political pressure was nothing compared to the soap opera that was his marriage. You love internet relationship drama. Look at Josephine, the absolute blueprint for a toxic ex. While Napoleon was in Italy, conquering lands, freezing in tents, writing the cringiest love letters, Josephine was busy having a blatant affair with a young, handsome officer back in Paris. He was at the absolute peak of global military power, yet he was history's biggest cuckold. And don't forget the ultimate villain in any family trauma, the mother-in-law, Letizia Bonaparte. His mom despised Josephine, hated her lavish spending, and the fact she couldn't produce an heir. Imagine fighting the British-Russian coalition while managing a brutal Cold War in your own living room. Eventually, he divorced his lucky charm just because he desperately needed a son. That was the start of his karma. He dumped his true muse to chase outdated royal vanity. And from that moment, the gears of fate reversed. Everything started to violently collapse. 1812. Pure arrogance clouded his judgment. The invasion of freezing Russia. You think a New York winter is bad? Try walking thousands of miles at -30 with an empty stomach. 500,000 men who trusted him blindly, swallowed whole by the unforgiving ice. There was no glory here. Greatness now just reeked of frostbite and total despair. But the worst part wasn't Russia. It was when his own biology betrayed him. History books paint him as a majestic horseman. The photorealistic truth was filthy and painful. At the historic Battle of Waterloo, he was suffering from hemorrhoids so bad he couldn't sit on his horse. The pain wrecked his focus. He couldn't make decisions. An empire falling due to a physiological issue. It didn't just fall to British cannons. It fell because the dictator's body had completely shut down. Look at him at the end. Exiled to Saint Helena, a barren rock in the middle of the Atlantic, watched by the British 24/7. No army, no power, entirely isolated from his only son, his body swelling from stomach cancer. Every single day was physical and mental torture. You think being Napoleon is cool. It's building the highest mountain just to be violently pushed off. You try to grasp the entire world only to end up with empty, bruised hands. A grand legacy built on the suffering of millions, only to buy you absolute crushing loneliness. The same people who used to kiss your boots are now scrambling to trash your name back in Paris. You try to rewrite history on a desert island, but your voice is swallowed by the ocean wind. From the most lavish banquets in Europe to choking down every bite in bitter regret. Sleep brings no peace. It only brings thousands of ghosts from the Russian winter. You lie there wide awake in the dark, realizing everything you built meant absolutely nothing. Power is a drug, and Napoleon was the most miserable addict forced into forced withdrawal, becoming a total joke to the very enemies whose shoes you wouldn't have bothered to shine. Hurt, doesn't it? That's exactly why being a short king is a nightmare. You constantly have to prove your greatness. The obsession with greatness drains your soul. It leaves you a paranoid, trapped shell. Time on this island doesn't pass. It freezes exactly like his army did in Russia. Hallucinations of his bitter ex-wife haunted his mind every time the stomach cramps hit. Cancer was eating his massive ego from the inside out. No doctor could save him now. If he could do it all again, would the kid from Corsica choose a normal life over that damn throne? His son, the heir to his empire, raised by his enemies, forbidden to even speak French. The ultimate helplessness of a father knowing his own blood is being brainwashed daily. He stumbles. No one rushes to catch the emperor, just the cold, indifferent stares of the British. This island was the perfect prison, a volcanic rock burying his massive ego, his personal legacy erased by nature. Greatness, it turns out, is as fragile as ink in the rain. In his final days, he was delirious, calling out to his army, calling out to the wife who betrayed him. The ghosts of countless fallen soldiers coming back to collect their debts. The true cost of conquest. You want to conquer the world will just stab you in the back 1,000 times over. Gut-wrenching pain knocked him out in his sickbed. The British doctor just shook his head helpless. The life force of the monster of Europe was fading exactly like a candle blown out in a storm. No glorious trumpets, just the weak, trembling prayers of an old, tired priest. The moment he took his last breath, the continent didn't shake. There was just a terrifying silence. The cold corpse of the man who once terrified all of Europe, now ignored by everyone. They stuffed the great emperor into a cheap, crude pine box. The ultimate irony. Buried in a shallow dirt hole under a dead tree. No headstone, not a single word of praise. Enemies laughing over an unmarked grave. The empire he built with blood vanished like smoke. That is exactly how the life of a short king ends, swallowed completely by nature and history. So to all you modern CEOs craving absolute power, look at this lesson and wake up. Are you ready to trade your family, your health, and your sanity for a delusional throne? That throne is freezing cold. And when you inevitably fall, no one will be at the bottom to catch you. The real lesson from Napoleon isn't military strategy. It's the sheer art of self-destruction. A man who burned himself alive and torched everyone around him just for his massive ego. History only records the surface. The truth hiding underneath is an endless psychological nightmare. Being Napoleon sucked. You have everything in the world, but die in complete spiritual bankruptcy. His life was a horrific storm. It wiped out Europe and destroyed itself when the winds died down. Military glory is just a thin layer of gold paint covering millions of forgotten graves. The ultimate symbol of power left to rot in the cold mist. No one even bothers to pick it up. His bitter old mother actually outlived her emperor son, a deeply painful tragedy. The Parisian women who once worshipped him now laughed, turning his trauma into dinner party gossip. The cowards sneaked back onto the throne, his legacy wiped out as if he never existed. The greatest tragedy of a conqueror is realizing his worst enemy was his own blind ambition. The chariot of destiny crashed into the abyss, and nobody pities a fallen dictator. A ruined life summed up by lifeless trinkets on a completely forgotten rock. There were no painkillers for the cancer, and absolutely no escape from the suffocating regret. The crows circled above, signaling the total end of an empire born from fire and blood. The dream of world domination shattered, leaving a naked, weak man terrified of impending death. Just a few tears from useless old veterans, completely crushed by the ruthless wheel of history. The world kept spinning. History moved on. Your disappearance didn't stop the earth for a single second. Remember his most glorious moment. That was the exact second the seeds of his doom were planted. The drop from the peak of fame to rock bottom is just a few bad decisions born of sheer arrogance. Ultimate power doesn't bring freedom. It is the most brutal prison you could ever build for yourself. Next time you wish you had the absolute power of a king, be incredibly careful what you wish for, because being a happy, normal guy is infinitely better than being a lonely, trapped legend. Yeah, being Napoleon was genuinely the most miserable nightmare of all time. Don't try to be an emperor. Just be a normal person and keep your sanity intact.